Hello and welcome to Praying on Purpose. So, as we have previously seen, Chazal tell us that Yitzchak Avinu was the one who introduces Tefillas Mincha. This is based on a pasuk that we read yesterday in Parshas Chayesara. The Torah tells us, "Vayetze Yitzchak lasuach basadeh lifnos arev," that Yitzchak went out lasuach, which Chazal understand to mean to converse, to engage in a conversation, basadeh out in the field, lifnos arev towards the end of the day. And Chazal tell us based on this that Yitzchak instituted Tefillas Mincha, because as they say, ein sicha ella tefillah, the lashon of sicha means prayer, davening, and clearly towards the end of the day, Yitzchak was davening tefillas mincha. So what I'd like to do this morning is to continue the conversation of Yitzchak's introduction of tefillas mincha, but specifically to focus on what makes tefillas mincha unique. How do I know tefillas mincha is unique? Because the Gemara in Brachos, the Avav Amid Beis, tells us in the name of Reb Chelbo, who says in the name of Reb Huna, La'olam yehei adam zahir b'tefillas hamincha. La'olam, which means always, a person should be very zahir. Zahir means very careful, very focused, very diligent when it comes to the performance of Tefillas Mincha. Shaharei Eliyahu lo nene ele b'Tefillas HaMincha, because Eliyahu HaNavi was answered by God at the time of Tefillas HaMincha. This is a reference to the somewhat famous story, which is found in Sefer Melachim Aleph in the 18th chapter, when there was a standoff between Eliyahu HaNavi and the Nevi'ei Baal. At that particular point in history, and it was certainly not an isolated event in this regard, the Jewish people were, let's just say, confused. They were conflicted because there were others who were claiming to represent foreign gods, and there was a certain appeal. There was a certain interest. Bnei Yisrael were drawn to that. Eliyahu HaNavi was pleading with HaKadosh Baruch Hu at this moment, please, please, God, allow me to prove your dominion in the world. Allow me to prove that the gods, that the prophets that they are following are false. And as the pasuk tells us, "Vayihi balos hamincha," it was as they were bringing literally the mincha. Vayigash Eliyahu HaNavi, and Eliyahu drew close. Vayomar, and he said, "Hashem Elokei Avram Yitzchak v'Yisrael." He appealed to God, and he uses an expression similar to that which we use when we daven Shmon Esrei. He said, "The God of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Hayom Yivada." Today, let it be known, Ki Ata Elohim b'Yisrael, that you are the God of Israel. Vani avdecha, and I am your servant. Uvidvarcha asisi is called Dvarma, and I'm here just to represent you, whatever it is that you ask. It's a very, very dramatic moment. Eliyahu is standing in front of all the people, and he's appealing to God, please, God, let yourself be known. And then he says famous words, Aneni, Hashem Aneni. Answer me, God, please answer me. V'yedu ha'am hazeh ki ata Hashem Elokim. And everybody here will know, ki ata, that you, Hashem, God, are Elokim, you are the one and only God. And the story goes on to describe, Vatipol Eish Hashem, suddenly a fire descended from the heavens, Vatochal as olav as eitzim, and it consumed not only the animal that was placed there as an offering, but the wood and the stones, and everything was completely consumed. So this is the story, this is a background of what happened at the time of Tefillas Mincha. And based on this, Rav Huna teaches that whenever we daven Mincha, every single day, we have to be inspired by this event. And of course, the question is why? I mean, again, it happened towards the end of the day. But other than that, what is the connection between this incident and our Tefillas Mincha? What could possibly be the connection? That Chazal say, La'olam ye'edam zahir b'Tefillas Mincha, as if there's something so unique, so powerful about Tefillas Mincha. So some of the Rishonim on that Gemara tell us that to understand this, what was significant about the event will help us understand how this relates to our Tefillas Mincha each and every day. The Nevi'ei Baal believed, like many other pagan believers at the time, that the sun had independent power, and God does not control the universe as we believe. And so, therefore, Eliyahu HaNavi, who's trying to make a very sort of strategic and a very carefully planned and timed statement, so he waits until the end of the day, when the sun was setting, was starting to wane, and demonstrating that precisely when their God was sort of disappearing, was waning, at that moment the fire would descend. And this would prove, so to speak, God's control and dominion over all. And when you think about it, we forget throughout the course of our day how HaKadosh Baruch Hu plays such an active role in our lives. Perhaps in the morning, when we have not yet started our day, Tefillah Shachris, we're a little more focused, we have a clear mind, and we can remind ourselves, yes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one who manages all. And at the end of the day, as we are retiring for the night, so there as well, when we daven Ma'ariv, perhaps we can we are already somewhat detached from the hecticity of the day, that we can focus on the concept that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Moshel HaKol. However, Tefillas Mincha is a time when we are often involved in our own personal business. We are involved in our own professional engagements. Whatever it is that we are doing, we are using our own experience, we are using our own training, we are using our own talents, our own abilities, and we are employing them in a way that makes us feel efficient, hopefully productive, like accomplished, and here's the key word, independent human beings. I don't need God to help me out in the boardroom. I don't need God to help me out in the operating room. I don't need God to help me out in the courtroom. This is me. I went to school. I trained for this. I know exactly what to do in this particular situation. So God, I'll deal with you later at the end of the day. And Tefillas Mincha comes precisely at that moment during the day. Now, obviously, it may depend on the time of the year. I mean, there are times that we can daven mincha, at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. But think about right now, or at least where I am here on the East Coast. So Shkia is about 4:30. So someone's going to have to take a break during the workday in order to daven mincha. And it's not a long prayer. It's certainly shorter than Shachris, but I'm going to have to take a break. I'm going to have to remove myself from that situation and remind myself who is really in charge. It is not the sun, right? It is not the as the Nivi Baal believe, the forces of nature that control the world. And that, of course, we know. There's nobody listening right now who somehow believes the sun has some independent power. But we do believe in independent powers. We believe in our own independent power. And so therefore, Tefillas Mincha is a very, very, very important moment for reflection as we remind ourselves that, God, you are in charge of everything. When I say everything, not just the things that I know you're in charge of, but everything. Think about it. When we daven Shemona Esrei very often, we can easily, hopefully, with not all that much effort, we can focus on the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one who provides refuah. We understand and recognize that if there's somebody and we're davening on their behalf for refuah shalem, we turn to you, God. When we ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for binyan Yerushalayim, we recognize that there's not all that much we can do, and so therefore we ask you, build Yerushalayim, bring Mashiach. But the brach of Barei Chaleinu, when we ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu to help us and assist us with Parnasa, do we really believe? Do we focus enough on the concept that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is really the one who's Mefarnes Hasakol? There is a section of Tehillim, is referred to it as Halal Hagadol, in which we go through all 26 psukim, Hodel Hashem Ki Tov Ki Le'olam Chasto, and we say this on Shabbos morning, through everything on this list, all these different points throughout our history, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu demonstrates his dominion over all. And then at the very end, we say, No Sein Lechem L'chol Basar Ki Le'olam Chasto. Because and that's supposed to be the highlight. That's sort of the crescendo. That's the most important pasuk Chazal tell us in that entire prayer. Because so often, we can imagine, we can relate to the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one who carries out these awesome miracles and fights wars on our behalf. But no sein lechel l'chabasar, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one who's going to see to it and I'm going to bring home a paycheck. It's a little hard to remind ourselves of that. It doesn't feel that way because after all, I'm the one who's putting in all the effort. Or as the Torah tells us, v'zachartu es Hashem Elokecha, you should remember Hashem your God, ki hu anosein lecha koach lasos chayil, because he is the one who gives you the koach, literally the power, the strength, lasos chayil, to perform great strengths. What is that referring to? Says the Targum Onkelos on that pasuk, v'tidka yas Hashem Elokecha, you should remember Hashem your God, arehu yohiv lecha etza lemiknei nichsin, which means HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one who plants the idea in my head and gives me a stock tip. When I go ahead and I make a certain investment, when I'm going to go ahead and decide, this is where I should put my money. So here I think, no, it's just my experience. It's because I've done proper research. I'm well connected. I know exactly what to do. Comes along the Torah and it says, no, it's not the way it works. And in that regard, the Gemara seems to be saying that Tefillas Mincha is the most important tefillah of the day. La'olam yehi adam zahir. Because while it's a big deal to daven Shachris properly, and it's a big deal to daven Mariv properly, Shachris and Mariv both come at a time of the day in which we are more or less removed from the world so that we could sort of focus on another. But in the middle of the day, as I am engrossed in my own personal business, and I feel that I don't have time to be bothered with others, to go ahead and to remove myself from that center, and to say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm reminding myself right now that I am in your hands, that all these ideas that I have, all of these skills that I am able to put into action, the extent to which I'm able to go ahead and to perform and to function professionally in a successful way, it is all do to you. This was the lesson of Eliyahu Hanavi, because he specifically chose the time of the day in which the Navi Baal would have to recognize and to see the waning of the sun, the descending of what they believed was the true koach in the world. Today, we believe too much in our own kochos. We believe too much in our own independent powers. And Tefillas Mincha is a very powerful and a very humbling reminder each and every day who is really in charge. So it's a very, very important thought to understand why and in what way Tefillas Mincha is such a unique tefillah. This is a conversation that we're going to continue Be'ezus Hashem next week, because there's still more to say on Tefillas Mincha. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.